Hungarian Parliament. Beautiful building with an amazing history and also an interesting present with lots to talk about. I'm hoping you had an interesting visit in Budapest already, and I'm looking forward to this opportunity to exchange with you alongside the multi-party delegation of colleagues of Hungarian parliamentarians. We will have translation between Hungarian and English. You can use this earpiece and switch between the channels. So, of course, everybody is free to use each language, whichever you prefer. I would like to briefly introduce ourselves. My name is Cseh. I'm a member of the Hungarian Parliament from the MEP Anticorruption Intergroup. And let me hand over the floor to the colleagues for a brief introduction from your side. And then I suggest that we make a short analysis of the situation, how we see it, and very happy to answer any questions you might have. Because the fight against corruption is our joint fight. As Hungarians, as Europeans, we are all dedicated to a system where public money is used in a responsible way to support our society, support progress, development, and to step up against anybody who is trying to use public funds for illicit purposes. This is a European challenge. We share this fight, and I'm very glad for the dedication of this group to ensure the safe and transparent use of European money that you have been engaged on for a very long time.
Thanks so much, Katalin, for welcoming us here. For those of you who do not know, well, we're all members, and Koa and I co-presidents of the Anticorruption Intergroup in the European Parliament, but you, Katalin, are an alumni of this group. You have been fighting together with us against corruption when you were a member of the European Parliament, so it's very good to see you here continuing that fight. So we're all here to get an update basically on the situation. It's now been 2.5 years that the European Union has frozen, and at this point it's 18 billion euros of EU funding for the Hungarian government, and we want to get a sense for how is that going. Is there any progress to be detected anywhere? And we're holding meetings here, well, yesterday and now today. We've already met with business leaders. We've met a number of EU ambassadors last night, and today, other than meeting our esteemed colleagues here in the Hungarian Parliament, we're visiting an EU-funded project where there is problems emerging as we hear. We're meeting with civil society, we're meeting journalists, and trying to get a good sense. But not to hide that we're also here then to stay on tomorrow and attend the protest for the freedom to demonstrate, for the freedom to live and love how you want. So we're quite excited as well to see that. And I'm happy to exchange today. Thanks again for having us. Maybe we do a round of who the colleagues are, and then we will start with questions and discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. So maybe I turn to the Hungarian colleagues first to make a short introduction and a statement, and then we can go and take the questions of the
Thank you, and my name is Tímea Szabó. I'm very happy and very grateful for your continued support towards Hungary. I was just telling Daniel and Hungary for a long time, also through the Green Party, that you guys probably know more about Hungary and the fall of the rule of law and democracy than most Hungarians at this point, because you've been following this issue for so long. I've been in Parliament for 15 years, and it's we never thought this, but it's continuously deteriorating the situation. First, compared to 2011, when there was only the media law, and we thought that this could not get worse, but it did. As the latest development, I don't think we should probably go back to years before because you're aware of the situation. The latest development is that they've abolished the regulation on maximum spending on campaign financing, obviously again to cater for Fidesz's needs at this point. So there will be now officially unlimited, there can be a limited amount of money being spent on the campaigns. Obviously this doesn't affect us because the state audit office this year and last year took most of our state funding based on falsified accusations that we received foreign funding in the last campaign. I'm sure you were aware of this. My party, Dialogue for Hungary, or Párbeszéd, our annual funding is about 110 million, 110 million forints, and 80 million was deducted, was taken from us, and there's no right to appeal in this process. So obviously we don't have money to campaign. I mean, this much we do. So this will only benefit the parties. And as just the latest development, this is more like a fun fact that it was in the news 2 days ago that people just now bought Hotel Marriott, right at the Danube, one of the largest hotels in Budapest. So while the healthcare system and education and everything else is deteriorating, luckily the family, Orbán's family, it keeps flourishing and getting richer by the day, literally. And they just privatized, last week they privatized also one of the most prestigious universities, state universities, the technical universities. They sold it to MOL, obviously, which is their own cronies as well. So that's the situation, and I think we're all determined here at this table to continue fighting against this. And no matter how much we are being persecuted, both Kata and I can tell you a lot about personal persecution, being followed by national security services, and how our personal, they are attacking our personal lives and families as well by the propaganda. We're still here, and we will be here. Thank you.
Elnézést, az én angolom nem elég jó ahhoz, hogy angolul nekem elmondani a bemutatkozásomat. Csárdi Antal vagyok, független országgyűlési képviselő, és én azt gondolom, hogy gazdaságpolitikusként fontos arról beszélnünk ki, és azt gondolom, hogy ennek a bizottságnak, vagy munkacsoportnak is nagy hangsúlyt kell arra fektetni, hogy pontosan tudjuk, és önök is tudják, hogy a korrupció milyen eszközeivel, technikáival veszíti el a közpénz jellegét, Korózs Lajos idézettel megfogalmazva Magyarországon az uniós források többségét, illetve egyébként ezen lényegesen túlnyúló módon. Én azt gondolom, hogy beszélni kell arról, hogy hogyan próbálják ezt megőrizni jogalkotási támogatással. És azt gondolom, hogy ezen a ponton majd a későbbiekben beszélnünk kell a magántőke alapoknak a hazai működési gyakorlatáról, és beszélnünk kell azokról a jogállamiságot súlyosan sértő bírósági ítéletekről, vagy nyomozati cselekményekről, amik ezek mind-mind támogatják ezt a folyamatot. Tehát a korrupciónak mindannyian tudjuk, hogy csak az első eleme az, hogy átkonvertálják magánvagyonnák, ezt eltüntetni, és egyébként azt a rendszert fölépíteni, ami hosszú távon náluk is tudja tartani, adott esetben lebukás esetén is ezeket a pénzeket, azokkal kell foglalkozni. Azt gondolom, hogy uniós szabályozási szinten is, mert amíg ezek a szabályozó eszközök, a hazai szabályozó eszközökről beszélek, támogatják ezt a folyamatot, addig bénakacsaként fogunk így kapirgálni, keresgélni, hogy mi a megoldás, hogyan tudjuk megakadályozni a korrupciót. Értelemszerűen ennek az elsődleges eszköze egy kormányváltás lehet, de meggyőződésem, hogy az Európai Unió szabályozó rendszere alkalmas lehet arra, hogy olyan kötelező uniós szabályokat hozzon, hogy megakadályozzák ezeknek a pénzeknek a végleges eltüntetését. Úgyhogy én azzal a reménnyel vagyok itt, hogy amikor felállunk, akkor körvonalazódni tud egy olyan mesterterv, ha szabad így fogalmazni, ami hosszú távon tud megoldást, illetve akadályt gördíteni ezeknek az eltűnt pénzeknek a feltárása érdekében, és én nagyon remélem, hogy ez az együttműködés ez lehetővé teszi azt, hogy Magyarország megkapja az őt illető uniós forrásokat, és én azt gondolom, hogy ez lehet az alapja ennek az egész folyamatnak. Köszönöm szépen.
Köszönöm szépen, én is magyarul fogok beszélni, mert a jogászkodók vagyok elég precíz angolul. Szeretném, Arató Gergely, a Demokratikus Koalíció frakcióvezető helyettese, ez az egyik szociáldemokrata párt a Magyar Parlamentben. Amiről szeretnék beszélni az, hogy hogyan függ össze a demokrácia hanyatlásával kapcsolatos legújabb fejlemények és a korrupció ügye Magyarországon. Nagyon világos az összefüggés, két példát szeretnék elmondani. Teljesen világosan látszik, hogy egyetlen puha korlátja van ma Magyarországon a korrupciónak a nyilvánosság. Amikor azt tapasztalják, majd a kastélyi kapcsán például fogunk azt hiszem erről beszélni, hogy valamilyen ügy nagy nyilvánosságot kap itthon és a nemzetközi európai közvéleményben, akkor ennek mindig van visszatartó ereje. Azt látom, hogy éppen ezért a kormány egyik legfontosabb stratégiai céljának a nyilvánosságnak a leépítése. A legégetőbb és legközvetlenebb aktuális példa az az Alkotmánybíróság ítélete, amely nem csak azt mondta ki, hogy nem kell kiadni a kormánynak külügyi érdekből, nemzetközi érdekből a Budapest-Belgrád vasút iratait, hanem elvi éllel is kimondta, hogy a bíróságoknak nincs joga felülvizsgálni a kormány döntését az különböző adatok nemzeti külügyi okokból való titkosítására. Ami egészen elképesztő, mert ez gyakorlatilag azt jelenti, hogy minden kontroll megszűnik a közpénzek költése fölött, hogy erre azt lehet mondani, hogy ezek nemzeti érdekből, tehát külügyi érdekből történnek. Hozzáteszem, az Alkotmánybíróság elnökévé most nevezték ki azt a Polt Pétert, aki az elmúlt 15 évben legfőbb ügyészként fedezte a Fidesz tevékenységét. Az ő egyik helyetteséből lett egyébként az új legfőbb ügyész, a másik helyetteséből meg a Kúria, a legfelsőbb bíróság elnöke az elmúlt években. Azt kell mondanom, nagyon elsiette az Európai Bíróság, amikor az Európai Bizottság 2023 végén úgy értékelte, hogy helyreállt az igazságszolgáltatás függetlensége Magyarországon. Pont az ellenkezője történt az elmúlt években. Az Európai Bizottságot simán átverték, és ez az Európai Bizottság politikai okokból vagy naivitásból, de jó képet vágott. A másik ilyen történet, ez az úgynevezett átláthatósági törvény, magyarán szólva törvény, aminek többet beszélünk arról az oldaláról, hogy ez hogyan célozza meg a NGO-kat, nem véletlenül egyébként ezek az NGO-k azok, akik a legtöbb esetben a nyilvánosságra hozzák, kipelelik azokat a adatokat, amikre szükség van. Kevesebbet beszélünk róla, de hasonlóképpen lényegében a teljes független sajtó mögötti gazdasági hátteret is tönkreteszi és megcélozza ez a törvény. Magyarán szólva, az ügynök törvény nem kizárólag arról szól, hogy politikai ellenfeleket félemlítsenek meg, hanem arról is, hogy elzárják a korrupcióval kapcsolatos információknak a nyilvánosságra kerülését. Ha valamit én fontosnak gondolok vagy olyan dolognak gondolok, amiben az Európai Parlament és az Európai Unió be kell, hogy avatkozzon és be tud avatkozni, az a nyilvánosságnak a garantálása, akár a jogrendszerben, akár a média oldaláról, akár a civil szervezetek oldaláról. Szerintem ez kritikus nem csak a demokrácia és a jogállami korrupció ellenes küzdelem szempontjából.
Engedelmükkel én is magyarul folytatnám. Jobban ki tudom így fejezni magamat. Orbánnak elemi érdeke, hogy olyan rendszert működtessen, ami korlátlan hatalommal rendelkezik, leválthatatlan és folyamatosan finanszírozni tudja. A nevem Korózs Lajos. Sorry. 28 évig voltam parlamenti képviselő és 3-szor államtitkár. Mindent láttam ebben a házban. És ennek az ellenkezőjét is. El tudják képzelni. Tehát Orbán olyan rendszer kell, hogy kiépítsen, vagy kellett, hogy kiépítsen, ami korlátlan hatalommal rendelkezik, leválthatatlan, és folyamatosan finanszírozható. Ezt szociológiai értelembe kell ezeket a fogalmakat dekódolni mindenki. Ők nem a jogszabályokat játsszák ki. Ezt elsősorban nem politikusként, hanem szociológusként mondom. Hanem olyan feltételrendszereket alakítanak ki, amelyben a jog nem lehet korlátja az ő későbbi szándékát. Ugye ez így világos, hogy nem azon manipulálnak, hogy kerüljék ki a paragrafusokat, hanem eleve olyan feltételeket teremtenek, hogy ne legyen szükség a paragrafusok kijátszására. Olyan kifinomult módszereket használnak már, azon túl, amit a képviselőtársak itt elmondtak, ami egy európai 21. századi országban elő se fordulhatna. A szerencsejáték RT-n keresztül forint milliárdok, 100 milliárdok vándorolnak magánzsebekbe. Meg se gondolná az ember, hogy erre csak oda is figyeljen. A másik, amire szeretném fölhívni a figyelmet, hogy mennyire gátlástalan ez a rendszer, mert ahhoz, hogy működni tudjon, először foglyul kellett ejteni az államot. Azért utaltam az elején arra, hogy ők nem a jogszabályokat játsszák ki, hanem eleve olyan feltételeket teremtenek, amelyekben ők szabadon tudjanak bármilyen döntést meghozni, következésképpen a végső céljuk a büntetlenség elérése, hogy őket semmiért ne lehessen megbüntetni. Mondok még egy példát, és én itt be is fejezem. Az ország egyik legnagyobb energetikai cége, amely német tulajdonban volt, RWE koncernhez tartozott itt Magyarországon. Ez a mátrai erőmű. Orbán strómanja megvásárolta, tudjuk milyen pénzből, ezt a hatalmas nagy erőművet. A paksi atomerőmű mellett ez a második legnagyobb erőmű ma Magyarországon. A környezetvédelmi beruházásokra félretett tartalékot, iszonyatos sok pénz, 52 milliárd forint, néhány hónap múlva osztalékként kiosztották és kivették a cégből. Hangsúlyozom, ezt a német RWE cég azért rakta félre éveken keresztül, mert azokat a környezetvédelmi beruházásokat meg kellett csinálni, ami az európai standardnak megfelelővé teszi a céget. Kisíbolták belőle a pénzt, és rá 1 vagy 2 évre az állam megvásárolta ezt az energetikai céget, ezt a hatalmas erőművet a Strómantól. Értik, ugye? Tehát kétszer tettek bele pénzt, mert a legvégén a magyar társadalom fizette meg mind a két törlesztést gyakorlatilag. Évekbe tellett, mire kipereltük ezeket a dokumentumokat. Évekbe tellett az is, amikor a szerencsejáték ZRT-n keresztül kipereltük a dokumentumokat. Gondoljanak bele, hogy több mint 6000, amit persze ők megtagadtak, 6000 dokumentumot dolgoztunk föl. Ők például a holdudvarukba tartozó civil szervezeteket ezeken keresztül finanszírozzák. És akkor, amikor a pártoknak nincs legális forrása például kampányolni, ők nem csak a korlátlan, hozzáférhető állami pénzt használják fel pártpénzként, vagy pártkampánypénzként, hanem a holdudvarokban lévő civil szervezetek is már rég meg vannak finanszírozva. Csak azért időztem mellette, hogy ilyen struktúrái is vannak Magyarországon a korrupció. Köszönöm a figyelmüket.
Thank you, and I just close with a few words from my side. So I want to stress that the fact that Hungary right now is unfortunately a global example of state capture and democratic backsliding, where we witnessed billions of euros flowing to the pockets of not only oligarchs but family members of the Orbán family, where we saw the son-in-law of Viktor Orbán amassing a fortune based on initial EU tendering processes that were called to be fraudulent. The fact that this empire was able to be established with European public funds is not only a Hungarian problem. It's not only our problem. Of course, it is very much our problem because we see this money missing from our hospitals, missing from our schools, missing from our economy. But I think this is also a problem of the European community as a whole, because Hungary is a symptom of what can go wrong if European laws are not observed. And I'm sincerely hoping that next year we will establish a new way of governance here in Hungary, and you will be able to come back with a different delegation observing how to rebuild democracy. However, the problem itself would not be fixed only through the Hungarian elections. But there has to be better European legislation made in order to prevent this happening in other countries. So this is why I think it's very important that we are talking in this moment ahead of the new MFF cycle and the regulations following that. I sincerely hope that based on the good example of the rule of law conditionality mechanism, there can be rule of law safeguards, also guarding the next MFF, with milestones to be kept, with a continued follow-up process to see where European money is going in order for it to serve the welfare of European citizens and not the welfare of only a few. I also hope that the European Commission will be steadfast in its commitment to keeping European laws, not to using it as a bargaining chip that we unfortunately seen in the past on many occasions when they unlock money without the fulfillment of the conditionality requirements. And I hope that Parliament can be, and continues to be, a good watchdog of democracy, of human rights and anti-corruption. With your leadership, I sincerely hope that this will continue, because Europe is at a crossroads. And if Orbán is paving the way for other autocrats trying to follow his model in other countries, then our entire European project is in danger. So I hope for a good exchange, and I also hope for swift and steady action, both from the Hungarian people, the Hungarian parties, but also from our European friends who are guarding our European community. That is our only hope for the future.
Thanks so much. Chloe, we do a quick round of introductions and then we'll go into the questions.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chloé. I'm French. As you can hear, I am a member of the European Parliament, member of the Socialists and Democrats group in the European Parliament. I'm also the national spokesperson for my political party in France, the Socialist Party. And well, I co-chair with Daniel, as he said, the Anticorruption Intergroup in the European Parliament. And as a politician, as an activist, I've been following for years now, for 15 years, the Hungarian situation and Orbán's ideology. I think this is quite unique, what you are fighting, because we have men from a country that is 2% of Europe's population, 2% of Europe's GDP, that managed to unite the far right all over Europe around his ideology, his model, and I mean, this is this is quite impressive from a political point of view, but very difficult and hard indeed to fight. So, I mean, we are aware about what he did on the freedom of the media, the censorship of the research, the transparency law, the fight against NGOs and LGBT people. I was quite surprised to hear that he could also prevent political parties from public funding. I mean, this is something I didn't have in mind, so can you please remind the context of that? How can this happen? How can political funding work in your country? And how is it possible that you can be deprived of such funding of nearly 100% of the public funding? I had another question on things that you say, Arató, maybe, or no, you, sorry. You said that Orbán has unlimited power and a limited term of office. So, you know, at a moment where we can have hope for a transition because you guys are fighting so hard, and we have hope that we will manage, you know, Hungarian position to take back the power from him. You said, you seem to say the contrary. So according to you, what can be a transition of power in Hungary? Can it be pacific, normal transition, or how do you see that? And my final question would be about the corruption system Orbán has been building. Would you say that Orbán has built an oligarchy around him, like Putin did? Yes. Thank you very much. Again, it's very known to be with you this morning.
Irina, do you want to run it?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to exchange our views. My name is Irina Joveva. I am a member of Renew, so a member of the Liberals in the European Parliament. This is my second mandate, but otherwise I come from Slovenia. I don't know if you're aware, but we had a government a few years back for only, fortunately, just 2 years, but it was Janez Janša, and he is a very good friend with Viktor Orbán, so we have a little bit of experience as what the modus operandi that Orbán is doing here was Janša tried to do in Slovenia. He managed it a little bit, but then then there were elections, so we were lucky back then, and let's hope it stays like that. But maybe just one question or two. I mean, we all know that the autocrats are the worst when the water is going through the throat, and I think that Orbán is aware now that the situation is getting worse for him, at least from the public opinion and everything. So I'm just wondering, I mean, can it be even worse than it is, and how are you maybe also preparing, you know, in the next months or to the elections and the possible transition of power? So with the campaigns and everything that's going with also the public funding and the financing that you don't have anymore, as I understood. So maybe that's one question. And another one, we have European Media Freedom Act now in the European Parliament. In the European Union, I was working on it in the previous mandate. So it starts in August, actually, coming into full force. So I'm wondering if you see that as maybe one of the crucial tools for the problems that Hungary has here with media capture, or state media at least, more or less, and also the state advertisement regarding the media and the funding. Thank you.
Yes, good morning also from my side. I'm Korózs Lajos, a German member of the European Parliament, also in the Renew Eurogroup, and together with Katalin and of course Daniel, I negotiated the rule of law conditionality mechanism. So I would be very interested in how you see now the situation with still funds blocked to Hungary, not as much money anymore because some funds were released. And you also assessed, I think, correctly that this was not done well by the European Commission. How's the situation on the ground right now? We heard yesterday a lot about inflation, bad economic outlook, and that might also be one factor that strengthens right now TISA and is actually maybe a factor why the Orbán government right now is in problems in the polls. How do you see this? It was always also our discussion, Katalin, I know, how the effect will be. Will citizens understand that it's because of the government policies of Viktor Orbán that the funds are blocked, or will it backfire towards the European Union that is not giving money to Hungarians? So that was always the discussion we had. How is the situation on the ground? How do you see this? And what other mechanisms should we use in the future?
If I may, Katka, to add two questions from myself, and I'm very happy to hear from the Hungarian colleagues. I was very surprised the story you told about RWE. The company comes basically from my constituency, also from Moritz-Körner. So we would be very interested to have the details. It's the first time that I hear that, but given that RWE is mostly owned by the cities and the local villages, if you want, in my area, it would mean that this money might have actually been stolen from the constituents in my area as well. So please do share that and maybe something that we can give bigger visibility, including in Germany too. The question that I then have is, I mean, tomorrow there's supposed to be the Pride. I understand whether that is legal or not is now disputed between the national government and the city government of Budapest. In the past, my impression is that Orbán has basically attacked minorities also sometimes to hide other things that he's doing, usually to cover up stealing money or other bad deals. What's your take on this? Why now this renewed attack on LGBTIQ rights? What's he trying to hide from? Or how do you read the overall situation, and what do you think is most likely going to happen tomorrow?
Thank you. So I suggest we go around with the answers, and I just want to remind you guys that we also have some sandwiches and some scones over there. So please feel free to go over, take for yourselves if you are hungry. I know you have a long day ahead of you, but let's make sure we start. Please feel free, Kim.
Yeah, well, I'm talking again, so. Okay, so how does public funding work? A few years ago, Fidesz banned political parties from accepting money from abroad. So we can only use, well, practically state funding. And almost simultaneously, well, actually with the same amendment of this law, they prevented an appeal stage. So if the state audit office examines a party, which they do every year, and somehow if they find that you did accept any form of funding, then it can, put a fine on you, which you can, or about which you can appeal. There's no an appeal stage. So that goes directly against European law already, or international law. But so what happened in 2022 is that we ran together in a coalition, and there was one organization, Peter Markizais, who was the prime minister candidate, who did not have a party. So he was allowed to receive foreign funding, which I'm not even sure if he did, but just used help from the US. But our parties did not receive a dime about that funding. The state audit office for months examined each of us each of our spending and our finances, examining thousands and thousands of documents. They seized all our computers, they examined everything. They didn't find like nothing, they didn't find anything on this front. Yet, they said that because we ran together with that guy, with MMM, mindenki Magyarországra mozgalom, whatever the name is, I forgot. We also received foreign funding, which was not true because we didn't have common campaign finances with him. He was sort of a separate item or entity in this whole campaign. And yeah, sorry, I'll make it quick. So yet they posed a large fine on us against which we couldn't appeal. And ever since then, we've been called, this is also important, a traitor. The traitors of Hungary, that we serve U.S. interests and foreign interests. And just the fact that we're meeting with you, there will be articles in the propaganda news that we are working against Hungary. The second question, Orbán's oligarchs. Yeah, of course, he's built like a large oligarch based in Hungary. They built, even there is a change in the government next year, it will be very difficult to repair democracy in Hungary because they built such a deep state. They've seized complete industry. They've seized and they cater that to their oligarchs. Lőrinc Mészáros for one. They seized the electricity industry, gas, telecommunications, tourism, and so on. So it will be very difficult, even after a change in the government, to reinstate the normal sort of way of work. Also, ironically, while we didn't receive any foreign funding, Orbán keeps financing, as he also said, foreign groups, billions and billions of foreign, millions of hundreds of millions of euros altogether to the Spanish Vox Party, against which the Spanish prosecutor's office is already conducting an investigation. Le Pen, Milorad Dodik, in Republika Srpska, and so on. Next question: can it get worse? Yes, it can get worse with this. If this transparency law, or whatever they're calling it, is accepted, we can even go to prison. And this was the first thing after 2022 in April, that this would be the cycle when we're getting into prison. And we've already seen some of our colleagues, a DECA member was convicted of a falsified crime. He was pushed down and beaten by security guards in the state television office. Yet he was at the end charged with I don't know how to call that. Whatever, so he got suspended imprisonment, just like Kafka's colleague Fekete Győrandás. So it is a threat that we can work on this. And I'd like to join just Kafka on a last thought on EU funding. I think that freezing the EU funds was the first effective tool that the EU used, and we keep urging you, even though we're traders, on this to be very decisive and very strong on that front, because it did hurt Orbán very much.
Thank you. We have 10 minutes and a lot of questions to answer, so I guess it's a challenge for us.
Nagyon gyors lenni. Bocsánat. Megpróbálok nagyon gyors lenni, ezért az állami számvevőszékre nem reagálok, hiszen a kollégák tűpontosan mondták az állami számvevőszék működését. Amit én ki akarok emelni, mert azt gondolom, hogy fontos, hogy az Orbán kormány előszeretettel játszik azzal az eszközzel, ami a megfélemlítésen nyugszik, de eközben eljátsza a jogállamiságot. De fontos látni, hogy a papíron elolvasható jogszabályoknak a megvalósítása, betartása, az csak nagyon erős korlátok között történik meg. Nagyon sok a csúsztatás, és erre megint Katkát idézném, aki aki pontosan elmondta, hogy itt vannak olyan politikusok az ellenzéki oldalon, akik ennek súlyosan áldozatul estek. Amikor a médiaszabályozásról beszélünk, akkor fontos, hogy lássuk, hogy itt két részre kell bontani ezt a kérdést. Ugye először elvonták a finanszírozást. Ennek is két ága volt, ugye egyrészt az állami hirdetések nagyon célzottan csak a saját médiájuk irányába mentek el, másrészt pedig a piaci szereplők féltek, teszem hozzá nem alaptalanul, hogy ellenzékinek nevezett médiában hirdessenek, és erre jött rá az az átláthatósági idézőjelbe törvény, ami elméletileg ősszel kerül vissza az országgyűlés elé, de én nem tartom kizártnak, hogy még vissza se kerül, mert olyan jogalkotási színvonalon készült el, ami egyszerűen lehetetlenné teszi, hogy ez tényleg el legyen fogadva. Azt gondolom, hogy itt viszont a Daniel által megfogalmazottak lépnek be a fókuszba, ugye amikor terelik a témát, és azt gondolom, hogy elsősorban a gazdasági állapotot, vagy arról próbálják elterelni a figyelmet egy érzelmi politizálással, és mint hogy Magyarországon hát elég sokan homofóbok, nem tudom azt ennél szebben mondani, ezért ez tudhat működni. Másrészt viszont azt gondolom, hogy olyan korrupciós botrányok derültek ki, annak eredményeképpen, hogy a Fideszen belül egy ilyen egymás elleni leszámolás indult, ami nagyobbat ütött rajtuk, mint amire számítottak. Ilyen a Magyar Nemzeti Bank botránya, ahol hát nagyságrendileg 1 milliárd eurónyi összeget hát játszottak ki a rendszerből, és egy fél mondattal szeretném zárni, hogy amikor magántőke alapokról beszélek, illetve annak a hazai szabályozásáról, ugye a kisebb magántőke alapokról beszélünk, akkor ez a Magyar Nemzeti Bank mögötti botrány cég struktúrája, ahol meg sem tudom mondani, hogy hány magántőke alap jelenik meg egyébként. Tehát azt gondolom, hogy ez az, amiről én mindenféleképpen beszélni akartam, és mindenféleképpen szeretném fölhívni a figyelmét mindenkinek erre. Köszönöm.
We will mail over this document to you.
Thank you. Only 3 short brief comments. First of all, you are asking about what is the effect of the stopping EU funds in political way. I think it's basically it's not a political story. This is basically about not to support the Orbán government with EU money and not to support the corruption with the Orbán money. But in political view, one thing is quite sure. The majority of the Hungarian public understand that is Orbán's fault. I have seen some opinion polls, and all of them shows big majority of the public, and actually nearly the half of the Fidesz voters know this is Orbán's fault and not the EU's fault. That the money is not coming. It's a little bit different in Erasmus, but I don't want to speak about much more. But generally the Hungarian public think Orbán is responsible for the stopping EU money. The second thing about the election. Elections absolutely not will be fair, and there will be partly free. But if there is a real strong conviction of the voters who want to stop the Orbán regime, and it seems to be possible now, then it will be no matter. So I think so it could be a strong popular movement to stop Orbán system, and if it will happen, I think they have no enough power to stop the change. It not will be easy, it not will be soft, it sometimes not will be nice, but I think it will be if there will be a real strong will of the people, they cannot stop it, they have no power for it yet. The third thing is, I want to mention very briefly, if I would remember, but I cannot, so I give the floor to my colleague.
előbb Chloe-nak szól. Ez a rendszer 4-5% gazdasági növekedésre van beállítva, és ez most nincs. És nem csak azért nincs, mert nem jönnek az Európai Uniós pénzek, zárójel, amit Gergely mondott, az emberek többsége már tudja, hogy Orbán miatt nem jönnek. Ez néhány évvel ezelőtt nem így volt. Most már tudják. A másik, hogy szinte egy lábon áll a magyar gazdaság, kizárólag az autóipar és az ő beszállítói, például az akkumulátorgyártás, és az több mint 50%-os visszaesés produkált. Ma már gyakorlatilag a magyar gazdaság az elhibázott gazdaságpolitika következtében 2 éve recesszióban van. A fél-százalékos növekedést azt nem veszik észre az emberek. Megrogyott az a társadalmi bázis, amely a középosztály támogatását Orbán a középosztály támogatását élvezte. És ők csúsznak lefelé. Nem látványos, de mindig hónapról hónapra egyre nehezebben élnek, és a hónap végén mindig problémájuk van. Ez jelentheti a mi társadalmi bázisunkat. És végezetül még egy dolog, hogy a magyarok nem akarnak kelethez tartozni. Nem akarnak úgy hívni Magyarországon. 1000 év volt, amíg nyugathoz akarok tartozni. 1000 év volt. Meg fognak bukni. Lehet, hogy minden nevet Orbán, mert ő gátlástalan, ezt tudják. De itt lesz egy olyan társadalmi nyomás, ami nem teremt nekik más lehetőséget, mint hogy békésen átadják a hatalmat. Danielnek pedig annyit, hogy egy összefoglalót készítünk az RVE energetikai cég kétszeres privatizációjával, mert a végén ugye államosítás lett belőle. És igazad van, ez a befektetők pénze, mert a tőzsdei cégről van szó. El fogom küldeni nekik.
And just very briefly my comments before I thank you for the questions. So there was a question about the Media Freedom Act. As you might know, Hungary has launched a court challenge in the process. If I'm correct, it's still ongoing. However, so I personally think that although the intentions of this law were good, I am a bit skeptical about the framework because, in my opinion, it's a general problem in the EU legislation, but too much trust is placed on member states. Because I think we have to realize that not every member state is a constructive actor. I don't think that even if the Hungarian authorities would be tasked to fully implement ENFA or like any other law, they would do so in the spirit of European law or in the spirit of fair cooperation without common principles in front of them. These authorities in Hungary, but just as it could happen in any other member state, very heavily politicized. So I think that stronger European guidance would be necessary, or maybe stronger European control over these authorities would be necessary in order to indeed have the effect that was intended by the spirit of the otherwise very good and very important law. So I hope that the implementation will be watched very closely, because it's also not unheard of that the Hungarian government twists existing EU legislation to turn it against like the population in a completely other way. Just as an example, the sovereignty bill that is now in limbo. Many of these provisions are actually based on AMLA, the Anti-Money Laundering Act, which is a complete misinterpretation, of course, of that legislation. But based on that, they are trying to implement a highly, or like they were trying to implement a highly oppressive piece of legislation. So I'm a bit afraid that the Media Freedom Act can also be twisted around like that. I want to comment also on the perception of the freeze, and although I think there is a general recognition of the root causes, I think it's also important to understand that many local municipalities are under a very heavy political squeeze. So I don't know if you are meeting people from the Budapest City Hall, for instance, or any other opposition-led municipality. They are being cut off from many sources of state or other funding, and they are struggling to implement basic services as a result of that. So this is why I'm hoping that as we work on it in the US mandate, and also Ursula von der Leyen stressed in her November speech, the smart conditionality can make headways in order to direct more EU funds to the municipalities to fulfill those tasks that I think are of the European and the Hungarian public's interest in security, safety, green transition, social housing, and help with all these causes, meanwhile keeping the channels shut for the oligarch projects until there is a threat of public abuse. So I think there has to be a dual-pronged approach. I am very hopeful to see more direct fundings going to municipalities. And on Pride, what we expect, I hope there will be a good party, but not only a party, because as you know, Hungarian Pride is not only a party, this is a protest. This is an act of civil disobedience, this is an act of bravery, and I hope to see the largest Pride march ever. I hope that they will see their legislation backfire in their face. We have all hopes for that, because the Green Mayor of Budapest has been very brave and forthcoming in organizing the Day of the Hungarian Pride, which is a very completely legal happening, and I hope that the Hungarian police will uphold their duty to protect. Also, in regards to the fact that we have hundreds of international diplomats and delegates marching all alongside to stand up for the freedom and liberty of their fellow European citizens, the Hungarians. So thank you very much once again. We will send you the documents as promised, and if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate.
And then just one sentence. You need to understand that the banning of the Pride is not about the Pride. It's not about LGBTQ groups. It is banning all future bannings of all kinds of peaceful demonstrations and allowing the usage of Chinese face recognition devices, which they just passed in the law, which goes totally against all kinds of European law as well. So we are fighting for this. This is already in the European courts.
Thank you so much. Thanks for welcoming us in the Parliament. It's good to see that there is resistance alive and well still across the political spectrum, I would say. Thanks so much for all this information, and we'll stay in close contact. Thank you.
Do you still have time for a quick picture? Or
You take a picture, and then we got to run.